A little thing called redistricting happened this year as well. And that, and there are many districts in the county of Santa Cruz that are moving from an at-large to a trustee area representation. There's our district representation, and also those that were already in a district representation, their boundaries have changed. And we are not able to completely do redistricting until we finish the June election. So I have to look at the maps and I have to look at their files in order to be 100% sure which trustee areas or districts are up for election. And also I'm waiting for the resolutions to call the election to make sure that I am correct on which ones are up. So we don't have that part of the handbook done yet. And it also affects portions of the handbook in the, talking about candidate statements and other things, as that's based on registered voters. So there will be a candidate's handbook posted to our website, hopefully by this weekend. That's the cover. It's what it's going to look like. We will provide hard copies to each of the city clerk offices for you to pick up if you would like to here. We also will have them available at our office. So how to contact us, how to ask us questions, how to get help. Well, that's the list of the election department contact information, starting off with my name. I'm helping with candidate services, as we don't have a candidate service coordinator. I'm putting together a team of people in our office that will be helping. If you're running for a city office, you will work with your city clerk in order to get the candidate information. If you have questions about vote by mail, questions about buying election data, you want us to go to outreach at a certain location, or you have questions on voter registration, you can see all of the names and contact information that will also be, that is on our website currently and will be a part of the manual. So there are state and federal offices on our ballot in November. These are the agencies that if you are one of those people running in a runoff, you would deal with the FPPC or you file with the Secretary of State. I just put that on there because you may be interested in the future for running for a state or federal office. If you come across any election violations or have any questions, you can give us a call, but we are not the agency that does enforcement of election violations. If you have questions of fraud, you would contact the Secretary of State. If you see vandalism or people are moving campaign signs or such, you contact the local city attorney or district attorney or the local law enforcement. If there's questions about violations on the Political Reform Act, you contact the FPPC. You contact my office, I can help guide you to the correct place. I'm sure if you contact your city clerk's offices, they will tell you the same locations on where to go. So here's a key date timeline for you. So starting on July 18th and ending on August 12th is the candidate filing period. That would be when you would actually file or obtain your nomination papers if a nomination requirement is necessary for the office you're running for. It's when you would file your declaration of candidacy. It's also when you would file your candidate statement if you choose to do one. If the incumbent does not file and can file, then that office goes into extension. And that would be from the 13th to the 17th of August. Then candidate filing actually ends. On the 18th, there will be a random alpha drawn for the state offices and the local offices by the Secretary of State. And then I do also one which determines our state assembly rotation or our state assembly alphabet. On September 9th is when we start disseminating ballots The first group of people who get ballots are our military and overseas voters. They will get theirs on September 9th. On October 10th, we will send them out to everyone else. October 24th is the last day to register to vote for the November election if you wish to receive information in the mail. If you miss that deadline, you are still able to register and vote, but you need to do it in person at a voting location. On October 29th, our 11-day vote centers will open. They're open on Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and election day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. On November 5th, we will open 13 more centers for the same hours. And October is my birthday. I was going to tell you my birthday wasn't there. And on November 8th is actual election day. We have a candidate checklist to talk about the different documents that you would need to file and the filing period for each of those. Again, will be on our website in the manual. I actually have some here today that you're welcome to have. It talks about, again, the declaration of candidacy, the nomination period, other documents that you would need to file as part of your filing packet. And it's got a list that says, a column that says, yep, I filed it, and you can go ahead and check it off. The thing that you need to know is these dates are rigid. They are set in stone. If you miss the filing deadline, I'm sorry, you missed the filing deadline. There are no exceptions. So it's very important that you follow the checklist, keep track of the dates of your period that you are in, and make sure you check it off to say that you are completed with that. So on our ballot, we will see many different types of offices for many different types of jurisdictions. We've got the state, well, what's not on there are the state offices, the top two runoff. We've got Congress, state assembly, Superior Court judge, maybe. It looks like we're gonna have a runoff on county supervisor, 3rd and 4th district, but we won't know that for sure until July 5th. City councils are up. There's County Board of Education, Community College Board, school districts, fire districts, water districts, port districts, recreation districts. That's it. So I talked with Erwin to make sure that I have this right. It looks like I did. Yay, Patricia. Filing for city council. Although it's not required, you can schedule an appointment, and that is encouraged. You can email the city clerk's office or you can phone them. When you go to your appointment, they will issue you your nomination papers. You will need to collect 20 valid signatures from within your council district area and return them to the city clerk. They have a really nice website. I was very jealous. I just took a little bit of the screenshot of that. Talks about which offices or which districts are up. Further down, it talks about the vote by mail and all sorts of things. And you'll see over here that it says that the nomination period opens on July 18th. You're going to hear me say that about 75,000 times tonight, and it'll close on August 12th. And talks about their examination period for their candidate statements and other fun things and important things. So where you live determines what you can run for. So for most offices, you must be a registered voter of that jurisdiction or of the subdivision or the trustee area or district in order to run for that office. You can look up the jurisdiction where you live on our website. You can also give us a call. If you're looking to run for one of the districts that's moving to by district representation, it's not on our website yet, so you will need to call in order to make sure that your address is in the correct one. So here's a list of things for city council that you will need to file with the city clerk's office. So again, you will need to go in between July 18th and August 12th in order to get your nomination papers. nomination petition. You will get 20 valid signatures of voters who are registered in the district which you are running for. After you get 20 good signatures, you will declare your candidacy. That says, yes, I'm going to be a candidate. You will fill out a ballot designation worksheet. That's for your 3-word ballot designation that appears underneath your name on the ballot that talks about your principal profession or vocation. You would turn in your candidate statement if you wish to do one. That's a 200-word statement that talks about you and why you're running for office and what qualifications you have in order to do that. Let's see, you'll do an internet waiver, which allows your contact information to be posted online. That's not only online in the city clerk's website, that's also on our website. There's an optional code of fair campaign practices form, which means that you're going to run a nice campaign. And then you will need to do a form 700, which is a statement of economic interest or a conflict of interest code in order to document any conflicts that you may have with the office you're running for and your personal life. This is a little bit about the incompatibility of office. In case you are a current office holder and you're looking to run for another office, there's some things where you might be incompatible, and that's based on Attorney General opinions and also council opinions. So an example of that might be you're currently serving on a water district board and you want to run for city council and the water district is also in the city. That's a conflict of interest there. Might be, let's see what's another good one. Any of those things. School district trustee, and you want to do it for the elementary school, and it's in the same district. We did the water district. Fire chief, and you want to run for city council or board of supervisors. Same issue. It could be incompatible because one governing board is overseeing the other, and paying bills and things like that. So that might be incompatible. If you have a question, if you currently hold a public office and you're looking to run for another one, you can contact the Attorney General and they'll give you an opinion. So I'll pause. I should pause. I've done a lot of loo. Are there any questions?
For those of you joining us via Zoom, you can simply unmute your microphone and ask your questions at this point.
Cool.
I do have a question.
Maria, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, so if you currently are, let's say, serving on the school board and you're interested in running potentially for a city council position, that and part
Sorry,
of
Maria, I'm
the
sorry, we're having difficulty hearing you. Give me 1 second. Hey, Maria, I think I've addressed the issue. Go ahead and ask your question.
Sure, just going back to the incompatibility slide. So if you're a current school board member that resides in District 3, for example, and is interested in running for a city council position, is that incompatibility, meaning we wouldn't be able to run for that position due to a conflict of interest?
I'm Maria Irwin Ortiz, your city clerk. I'm pretty sure that it's an incompatible office, so you'd have to pick one over the other. I can get a better opinion, but my understanding is that those are incompatible offices.
So even if you were, let's say, if you're current and if you are in the school board position and then decide to run, and come November, let's say that the person is elected, they will give up the school board position, right? But that doesn't prevent them from running for a city council position.
That's correct. So if it's a school district member right now, they can run currently. And if you are elected to that position in city council, then you'd simply resign your position on the school district.
All right. So I just want to make it sure that I understood that correctly. Thank you.
And an example of that is also with our county supervisor race. Currently, we have a council member running for office at the county level whose term has not expired. So the expectation is that if they win that seat, then they would have to resign from their current seat. So we have, I believe, a Cabrillo trustee, and we have a council member that are in a very similar position of what you're asking.
Thank you.
All righty. Moving to talk a little bit more about your name on the ballot and your ballot designation. There's a little bit of variety on how your name can read. So like, for example, my name is Trisha Irene Weber. So I could use Trisha Irene Weber. I could use Trisha I Weber, or I could use just Trisha Weber. If I was known commonly as Trish, then that nickname could be put in there as well. Ballot designation, again, is your word or 3 words or group of words that are your principal profession, vocation, or occupation. So like county clerk, or school board trustee, or parent, or registered nurse. You also can choose not to put a ballot designation where your name will appear, but that is all. Our columns allow for about 39 characters nicely. We can probably put in a little bit more, but when we get really long, we have to change the font size, and then we have to change the font size for everyone. I remember once for Board of Equalization, which is shared by many counties, there was somebody running and their title was City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisor. I know that's way more than 3 words, but in our life, that's actually a word. And because proper nouns are considered a word. Anyway, it was like this long. And then the next name on the ballot, their designation was mom. And so it's 3 letters, but we had to take the word, City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisor, and we had to shrink it down. So literally mom was like not even my fingernail width is how big it looked. And because we have to shrink everybody's, if one person's is long and has to be shrunk, then everybody's has to be shrunk. So I'm not trying to tell you you can't be the City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisor. I'm just saying, think about it, because it's gonna, yours will be shrunk and everyone else's will be. There's a ballot designation worksheet that is the Secretary of State's worksheet, and we are required to use it. And it's pretty cumbersome. I apologize. There has to be something in every single line or question, but we will go ahead and work on getting some of them to look a little, to tell which ones can be just not applicable if need be, and still fit the Secretary of State's rules. But you will be listed to provide, you will be listing 3 choices. So you'll put your preferred ballot designation first, and then 2 alternates. And if your first choice is rejected, we will inform you why it was rejected, and then which one, or which of your 2 alternates we are taking. If all 3 are rejected, you will also be notified in writing, and you have 3 days to provide a new ballot designation. I'm going to tell you right now that ballot designation choices usually don't happen at the time you are filing. So you want to put down your preferred one and then your 2 alternates. And then you will know within a few days after candidate filing has closed where we are on the ballot designations. If you choose to submit a candidate statement, you will pay for it and file it at the time you file your declaration of candidacy. So again, if you're here learning about running for city council, 2 steps: you take out your nomination papers, and then you come back and you file your declaration of candidacy. It's at that time that you are going to file and pay for your candidate statement if you choose to file it. If you're here listening to run about anything other, like a school board, water, fire, you do not have nomination signatures. So you will just do your declaration of candidacy and file your candidate statement and pay for it at that time. The cost is an estimate. So how do I get to that estimate? I get there by, it's $320 for us to set it up. And then it's 3 cents per voter for us to print and mail. And it's an estimate of the registered voters in the district at the time that we are going to do candidate filing. And so that might change, right? More people may move into the district. Some people might move out of the district. And so we will send about a month after an election, either a bill if you need to pay us more, or a refund if we overestimate it. And the reason that we do that is because the candidate statement is optional. The code says that the candidate has to pay the true cost of the statement. And that's why it takes us about a month to know the actual true cost. All of our statements are 200 words. Unless you're running for Congress or state legislative office, then you get 250. And also they're all printed in English. You can go ahead and have it translated into Spanish if you would like for an additional fee of $150. Otherwise, it will just be in English. And you can also pay to have it printed and online on our website. And when it's printed, it goes out in the voter information guide. Or you can have it just online only on our website. And because there's a note in our voter information guide that says more statements are available online. And then that's the same in Spanish too. It can be printed in online, or it can just be online. We'll need you to type your statement, make sure you proof it, because statements will be filed as they are, will be printed as they're filed. So if there's a misspelled word, we're going to print the word misspelled. If there's funky punctuation, we're going to print the funky punctuation. So make sure you type it and then you proof it, and maybe have 2 or 3 friends proof it, because once it's filed, it's filed. You want to limit your statement to your own personal background and qualifications. You do not want to reference other candidates for that office or another candidate's qualifications, characters, or activities. Nonpartisan offices, which is what all of the local offices are, shall not include your party affiliation or your membership in a partisan or political organization. Your statement can't contain any false, slanderous, or libelous statements. We encourage you to limit your statement to 3 paragraphs, though I'll be honest, most candidate statements now are coming to me in 5 paragraphs. I make it work. All our text is formatted to flush left. We don't indent. I think that's why I'm starting to see 5 paragraphs. On the line below your name, you can provide your occupation, your phone number, your email, your website, and or your age, as long as it fits on one line. That does not count towards your word count. Your name should be the same as it is on the ballot. So if I chose Trisha Weber to be on the ballot, I want to make sure that my candidate statement's header is also Trisha Weber. And your occupation should be same or similar to your ballot designation. We don't bold, capitalize, underline, bullet, center text. However, you know, we capitalize if it's an acronym and things like that, and we do use some italics. So this is an example of the printed candidate statement. So as you see, Chris candidate is the name of the candidate, the occupation. So this line right here, I'm not that tall, so I'll point to the bottom one. This line right here is the one where we're talking about with the name, the occupation, phone number, email, website, and age. Wow, look at you, so technical. That does not count towards your 200 words. So you put that down, and as long as I can get that into one line, I will do that. If I'm unable to get it onto one line, I'm going to contact you and let you know. I can't fit it all on there. And then we're going to, you know, talk about what we're going to remove. You will need to email your statement to candidates@votescount.us, or you can bring it in on the thumb drive. We need it to be in electronic format, or we charge an extra $100 for us to retype it for you. You will file one hard copy by the deadline with either with your filing officer. So again, if you're running for a city office, you'll file it with the city clerks. If you're running for any other office, you'll file it with me. We will count the words on that document, and you will sign it. And so we know that that's the actual filed document. You will pay for it, made out to you either or to the county clerk, or you can use cash if you wish, as long as it's being from your personal funds. And you will do that again at your declaration of candidacy. I hold on to that check until after the filing period, because although you can't withdraw the candidate after you file your declaration, you can withdraw your statement, so long as you do it by 5 p.m. the day following the next business day. So if candidate filing ends on August 12th, that's a Friday. So that means you have until 5 p.m. on August 15th to withdraw your statement. And then we will give you back your check. And if you extend, if the filing period extends, then you have till 5 p.m. on August 18th to do that. So if you are running for an office that encompasses more than one county, so like running for Loma Prieta School District, which goes between Santa Cruz County and Santa Clara County, or I was going to say PVUSD, but I don't think that one's up this time, which goes between us and Monterey County, we don't share candidate statements. You file your declaration in the county where you reside, and we share that document with the other county. But if you wish to do a candidate statement in the other county's voter guide, you have to go to them directly, follow their rules, because they may print a little different than we do, and then you pay the fee to them. So, so just make sure that if you are in a county that are running for an office that goes between two districts or two counties, that you look into that. We also recommend that you file your candidate statement in person. The reason being is, say you get there and it's 202 words, or say someone turns it in for you and it's 202 words. we got, somehow 2 words have to be struck from that statement before it can be filed. You're now entrusting somebody else to make the decision on which 2 words need to be, removed. I already talked a little bit about how much the cost of the statements are. So again, remember it's $320 plus $3 per or 3 cents per registered voter in the district if you're doing the printing in the county voter information guide. If you do a printed statement, it automatically will show up on the website. But you can also do an online statement only, and that would just be $320, and it will only be on the website and will not be printed. That's for English. If you wish to have it translated into Spanish, then it's an additional $150. So looking at the current registration in the districts that are up for city council, it looks like it's going to be the candidate statement estimated cost is going to be somewhere between $400 and $450. If you wish to do it in Spanish, then you would add 150, so somewhere between 550 and 600. That's again if you're doing print and online. If you're only going to do online, then it's $320 or $470 for English and Spanish. And then, as I mentioned, we count words funky. You know, we don't use a regular alphabet either. Proper nouns and geographic names are 1 word. Abbreviations are counted as a word. A hyphenated word that is normally hyphenated is 1 word. Dates are 1 word, regardless of how you write it, whether you write it, 1/1/2020, or you write January 1, 2020, or just January 1. That's always considered 1 word. We consider websites and phone numbers also as 1 word. There's other things you'll see on there too. So I had a candidate who brought me a candidate statement where every word was capitalized. They're like, look, it's only 1 word. And I'm like, no, it's not. They're like, those are proper nouns. I'm like, no, it's not. So, I consider candidate statements a little bit of like a negotiation, so to speak, and also, so, I look at 3 dictionaries, and like for the hyphenated words, I look at 3 dictionaries and before I make a decision on that. But like I said, it's kind of in a negotiation, right? You can show me where the hyphenated word is used most, is generally used that way, and when we count the words. So, all right, I will pause here to see if there's any questions. See, I've timed it perfectly for Erwin to walk back into monitor.
For those of you that are joining us online, again, I've enabled your microphones. So if you have questions, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask us at this time. And I do also want to make note that the presentation from tonight, the video recording and the PowerPoint slides will be uploaded to our webpage for November 8th. And that'll be available by the end of the week.
Okay. All right. So we talked earlier about registration. I gave you some registration dates. I will also tell you that the voter file is confidential. So, so then you are asking yourselves, well, then how come I get all those things in the mail, right? Well, it is available to people for various reasons, such as an election, for school, journalism, other political purposes or government purposes. And that needs to be done by a written request. That request comes to our office, and if it's approved, then you can purchase the data file, but we post. who purchased it and what portion of the data file it was, whether it was the full county or just a school district or just a city or whatever. And you can purchase the file. You can also purchase during election time, we have people purchasing vote by mail data to determine who has already returned their vote by mail, for get out the vote purposes. And all of those are purchased through our office. There's varying prices depending on what it is that you are looking to purchase. And then the application is on our website, and then you would be working with Gina. She's who handles the election data. She can tell you the costs, and you can set up frequency if you're looking, like I said, for vote by mail or other questions. Oh, here. Seeing October, and I can't believe that it's already October. All right, so registration is ongoing, but again, the deadline to register to vote in order to receive your ballot and voter information in the mail for the November election is October 24th. People can register online. People can register with cards that are available at post offices, city halls, just right across the way. DMV, we can mail them. We are starting to ramp back up our voter outreach, but unfortunately, there's still not a lot of in-person activities that are happening. So we're not going out to as many festivals, fairs, community group meetings as we had in the past. But we are still trying to go out and outreach whenever we possibly can. If you know of any group or activity where we should go, please let us know. If a voter does not register by the 24th of October, they still can register and vote through same-day registration. That's up to and on election day, but it must be done in person at an in-person voting location. And we still do have provisional voting in case we can't determine at the moment that voter standing in front of us their eligibility, and then we take the time to research it after the election. So one thing that you may have noticed is that I mailed you a ballot for the June election. Well, actually, I mailed you a ballot for all the 2021 elections, and I actually did that in November 2020 as well. That's because the law now states that every registered active voter will receive a ballot in the mail. If you are voting at home using that vote by mail ballot, you can either return it by mail. You want to make sure it's postmarked on or before election day, and we receive it within a week after the election for it to be considered timely. Can be returned to one of our 24-hour drop boxes. We now have 17, and I'm looking to add 2 more before the November election. You can return it in person to any of the city clerk offices, or you can return it to a vote center, one of the in-person voting locations that will be open for up to 11 days. Then dovetailing on that, the in-person voting locations are done at vote centers. You can return a voted ballot, obtain a second ballot. You can vote on the accessible tablet. You can also get language assistance, translated facsimile ballots are there. There's also we do a Spanish ballot on the tablet. It's where you can register and vote using the same day registration, vote provisionally, just basically any voter service that you would need. It's like coming to my office or coming to the city clerk's office and doing your election stuff there, but at these locations. So 2 of them will open on October 10th, 11th. And we can not open on that day. And that will be our office and the city clerk's office here in Watsonville. We will open 3 more on October 29th, and we will open 15 more on November 5th. They will be open, once they open, They're open Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, except on election day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So it's more ways and more days of voting under this model. We will continue following the public safety guidelines and whatever the current public health requirements are. We will continue disinfecting our tables, our equipment, and then we will adhere to whatever requirements are at that particular time. Some safeguards for vote by mail, now that everyone's getting it in the mail automatically, is the postmark +7. And I talked about that already a little bit. As long as the ballot is postmarked on or before election day and it's received by our office within 7 days, it's considered timely. I will tell you that just with the election we had last week, seems like forever ago, but it was just last week. We had over 40,000 ballots returned on, well, we had 35,000 returned on election day. And then since in the week past, eligible with good postmarks, it's close to 5,000 more. So, so the postmark +7, I mean, even today, which was or yesterday, which was the 7th day, we received in a chunk like that. So that's about, 45 or 50 ballots that were considered timely. So it's, the mail may be slow, but with the 7-day period, we are still able to not count all of those as being late like we used to have to. We also compare the signature that's on the ballot envelope to the signature that's on file. I'm saying the word compare. It does not need to be exact. So if I sign my voter registration as Trisha I. Weber, but I only signed my ballot envelope as T. Weber, because that's typically what I do now for work, as long as the T and the Weber compare with the Trisha I. Weber that's on my registration form, then it is considered a good signature and moves forward. However, if we get back an envelope that's unsigned, and we have those, or we get back ones with the non-comparing signature, and we have those, we send a letter to the voter and we say, we are missing your signature, or your signature doesn't compare. And there's a form for them to sign and take an oath that they did indeed vote that ballot, and then they return it to us. They can fax it, they can scan an email, they can take a picture and email, they can put it in the mail, they can drop it off to us. And then we go through the comparison on that with that document, and then we're able to count the vote. And then we now have a new signature on file in order to be used for comparison later. The law also says that no one can solicit the vote of a vote by mail voter, do electioneering while in their residence or immediate presence of that voter while that person is voting. If somebody does that, they are guilty of a misdemeanor. I think I'll stop there. Any questions about the method of voting in Santa Cruz County?
Anyone on Zoom could just simply unmute themselves if you wish to ask a question.
All right. So know the laws, know what you can and you can't do. And that's in lots of, and that's in the elections code, will be in the manual when we have it finally finalized and up on the website by the end of the week. That deals with your mass mailings, your slate mailers, again, filing your nomination documents, filing your declaration of candidacy, when you can post political signs, when you have to take them down, what has to be on your political sign, just literature, your pictures, all of those things are are talked about in either the election code or in an FPPC thing. And again, that's all going to be in the manual. That will be on there. If you have a past manual, it's in the June manual, which is on our website now, if you wanted to look at it there. Well, let's talk a little bit about raising and spending money. So there's a Form 501, which is called the Candidate Intention Statement. That says that you intend to run for office and you need to do that prior to raising or spending even a penny. And that's a penny of your own money. So I put this way. You're going to take out your nomination. Well, the city's nomination paper is a little different than mine. You take out the nomination paper. If you came to my office and got a nomination paper to run for school board, I'm going to give you 3 copies that I made for you, but then I'm going to give you a master. So say you needed to use that to make another copy to circulate for more signatures, that's spending money, right? You made a copy. So you need to have a 501 on file to do that. Now you're not bound to do anything if you file a 501. We have people who file 501s all the time because they're interested in running for something, but then they don't actually file they don't do nominations or they don't file their declaration. So there's no penalty for doing that. But what you do, so if you are planning to raise or spend a penny, then you need to file a 501. If you raise or spend more than 2,000, then you got to go a little further. You have to file a Form 410, which is a statement of organization for a campaign committee. And that has to be filed with the Secretary of State. And that's what gives you your FPPC ID number. You will need to find a good treasurer for your campaign committee. And you should always make yourself the assistant treasurer, because again, filing deadlines are very rigid. That also includes the deadlines for your campaign spending. And so if your treasurer happens to be, visiting somebody, in another state, you have to be able to sign and file that document. Someone else needs to, so it's best to have you as the assistant treasurer. So what are some more campaign filing forms? Well, I'm gonna skip the top one and I'm gonna go to the second one, which is the Form 470. That's called the short form. That's for candidates who do not have a controlled committee because they don't anticipate spending more or receiving more than 2,000 in donations, which includes personal funds for a loan. The 410 is if you do, 470 is if you're not anticipating, and you can file the 470 and then go and do a 410 if you do reach the 2,000 threshold. Let's see, a Form 460 is the campaign statement that you need to file when you have raised or spent more than the 2,000. And there's 24-hour expenditure reports and 24-hour contribution reports. Those are Forms 496 and 497. If you spend more than $1,000 or you get contributions of more than $1,000 within the 90 days before an election. And then the top one is filing online through NetFile. So the county has NetFile, and we put all of the campaign committees online through NetFile. And then the campaign committees can file their 460s, their 496s, their 497s online, and then they don't have to do the paper form. If you are running for city council, you'll want to contact your city clerk to see if online filing is available for you.
It is available for Watsonville. So once you come in and you submit paperwork with me, what we do is we create an account for you, and then you'll get account information, and which you'll utilize to file any of these forms that Trish has mentioned here.
So this is a campaign filing schedule for November 8th, 2022. We took it straight from the FPPC's website. And you'll see the blue box on the bottom that says that the city of Watsonville requires a third pre-election statement, which is due November 4th, 2022. I know that the county also requires that of county candidates. But the FPPC no longer requires the third pre-election statement. So that's why it's not on their calendar. So that tells you what the deadline is to file those, what form needs to be filed, the period that each of those filing times take. So as I've said several times, the filing deadlines are very rigid. There are no extensions that are granted. So if you fail to meet a deadline, you're going to get a call or you're going to get a written notice, and you might be fined. We are not campaign finance experts. In fact, if you call our office, we can explain to you what a form is. We can tell you when it's due. We can tell you maybe some anecdotal stories that we've heard, but we cannot give you advice. You need to contact the FPPC or counsel of some sort in order to get advice. So FPPC has an email, they have a phone bank where they actually answer it, or you can leave a message. They also have on their website some really great videos, slides, workshops, a toolkit to help answer some questions. I mean, I'll tell you, I just had to run for office, never done that before. You would think I would know some things living in that elections office for the past 20 plus years, seeing those things. But when I got my first form, I have no idea what to do. So I went online and I did a couple of their workshops. I watched a couple videos, did some other things. So I guess I've done it right because I haven't received any notices. So there's that, but they've got really good resources available. In the handbook, there will be 2 pages that are pretty good to look at and know. One of them is the campaign finance prohibitions, what you can and can't do with your campaign donations or funds, and some of that anecdotal information called mistakes others have made. We learn good. We learn good. We learn well from seeing and hearing, and we also learn from our mistakes. Another form that you will file that I talked about was the conflict of interest statement. That's a form 700. That is again online, or what we do is we take it as a paper form, and then we create the file for future, or the online account for future filings. It is a public document. It is going to disclose your financial interests. It provides the transparency and ensures accountability in the decisions. My people always ask me, I don't understand exactly what it means. And I say, well, let's think about it this way. Let's say that I was the director of public works and my husband was the vice president of Granite Rock. I would disclose that we get income from Granite Rock. That would be a conflict of interest as me trying to get all of our contracts to go through Granite Rock in order to, give him some more income. So that's what the form 700 does. I guess I'll stop there and see if there's any questions. Okay. Writing candidates. So violate Bill 11th to May 24th. That would be totally wrong. Yeah, surprise, you missed it. No. Well, Sean's fine. It's gonna be, I don't know if I brought my calendar, which I left underneath my code book. I would be able to tell you. It's gonna be sometime in August after the 18th. I want to say it's like towards the last week of August. And then it's gonna end right after the vote by mail stop going out. So 2 weeks. before the election. It's gonna end somewhere around November, the last week of October. Sorry that I totally biffed that and I don't have it off the top of my head. So a write-in candidate is you file just like you would file for office. So if there is a nomination requirement, you would have to obtain nomination papers and get nomination signatures and meet that requirement. You file a write-in candidacy declaration. You have to post on, do all your other forms, such as the Form 700. Anything, if you're going to do raising spending money, 501, maybe 410. But what you don't get is a ballot designation, and because your name's not going to be on the ballot, and you also don't get a candidate statement. And so a voter can write in anybody they would like in a write-in space, but but only qualified write-ins, the candidates that go through the write-in process and become qualified will have votes attributed to their name. So again, like I said, to qualify as a write-in candidate, you have to file with the county clerk elections department or with the city clerk's office, the paperwork that's necessary. That would be nomination petition, again, if nominations are required, and then your statement of write-in candidacy, which is your declaration. And then we will post the certified write-in candidates on our website and at our in-person voting locations. And then if people write in the candidate's name, then we will, and it's qualified, we will go ahead and count it over under that person's name when we are posting results. If you're following our results right now, you will see that there are a lot of people who have a lot of contests that have write-ins, but if there's not a name underneath it written out, then that means there were no qualified write-ins for that contest, so they just fit into this write-in bucket. But we don't ever say what it was. So no one can say, well, how many write-in votes did Irwin get? We don't know because Irwin wasn't a qualified write-in. So any votes where somebody wrote in Irwin's name is just in the write-in bucket. So some offices may be omitted from the ballot. For example, judges. The Superior Court judges will not be on the ballot unless there is a write-in or a petition process that is completed by August to force the judges to be on the ballot, because only one judge filed per judicial office that was open. So they will be appointed in lieu of an election unless this petition process goes through. If there's an insufficient number of nominees for a school or a special district, the contest will not be on the ballot. So if there's 3 school board offices open and only 1, 2, or 3 candidates file, it will not go onto the ballot because they'll be appointed in lieu of an election. Write-ins don't always appear either on the ballot. The write-in space. For example, in the top 2, right now we did the primary and the top 2 move forward for the runoff. No write-in space for that because only the top 2 move forward. So sometimes you will see contests with write-in spaces, and sometimes you will not see contests at all, and that would be those are the reasons why they're not on the ballot. All right, questions about write-ins or anything?
I don't really understand.
You don't understand being a write-in?
I don't understand that part, the last part that you were saying.
That a write-in space might not appear on the ballot, or that a contest might not appear on the
A
ballot?
contest.
Right, so a contest only appears on the ballot if there's a true election. So if there's 3 people, if there's 3 seats that are open and 1, 2, or 3 people file for candidacy, there doesn't need to be an election. That's it. 3 seats open, 3 people take the seats. But if 4 people file, then it goes to an election because 4 people can't fill 3 seats. So there's a whole list of offices that are open, but you may not see them on your ballot. And the reason why you wouldn't is because there was no need for an election.
And in Watsonville, that is true also. If there's only one candidate that comes to file for an office, like so we had a special election to fill District 2. Had that been only one person that filed, they would have taken office. But because we had more than one person file, then we had to have an election. And for the city of Watsonville, even though that may happen in one district, for example, like we have 4 districts coming up, 3, 4, 5, and 7. If, for example, if District 3 only had 1 person, we still would be on the ballot because the rest of the offices will be on the ballot. And that's particular to Watsonville. So, but that does mean that your name would be there by itself. So.
And would it have to hit a certain amount of votes?
No,
It's the majority of the votes cast.
Okay.
So I was trying to explain to my mother, I ran unopposed, and I said, I only need 1 vote. And she's like, why do you need only 1 vote? I said, 10,000 people could turn in ballots, but if only 1 person voted for me, I would win. Because it's the majority of votes cast.
Thank you.
All right, election night. So the polls close at 8 p.m. on election night. We also close all of our drop boxes. And we will release our first results somewhere around 8:15, 8:20. The reason that we do about a 15 to 20 minute delay is if there are people still voting when the polls close, which is totally fine. We want them to finish voting before we start releasing results. So that's why we wait till about 8:15, 8:20. We will continue to process and tally ballots until about 12 a.m. And then at 12 a.m., we will focus solely on counting the rest of the ballots that were turned in person that day. So the first set that comes out are the in-person votes prior to election day and the vote by mails that we received and processed prior to election day. And then we add in more vote by mails that we process. We're able to, because we'll continue processing. And then we take all of the in-person ballots from the various voting locations and we get all of those in. And we will end for the day when all the in-person ballots are scanned in. And then we put forth what is called the semi-official or the unofficial election night results. And then we start the rest the next day. History has shown that we will receive more ballots after election day during the canvass period than we did report on election night. As I mentioned, we got in about 40-ish thousand vote by mails on election day last week. And so we are still in the process of getting those all through signature verification opened and tallied. So unfortunately, you really can't have a victory party on election night. Results are not final until all of the votes are counted, they're audited, and they're verified. And that is, we have 28 days, well, actually we have 30 days, but we usually do 28 days to finish that, making sure everything that should be counted is counted, we audit everything, and we verify the results before we certify. I will tell you, election officials are big fans of wide margins. I have seen many contests where the vote totals have been within 5. I think that's really great because it shows you every vote does indeed count. And your elections team will count that contest at least 5 or 6 times before we certify, because we want to make sure that what we certify as the final results does take into account of everything, and that it will hold true if there was a recount. When assuming office, special districts will assume office on December 2nd. Schools and community college districts will assume office on December 9th. State Senate and state assembly members will take their office on December 5th. If I calculated correctly and I wasn't corrected, I was right on December 13th for the Watsonville City. It looked good. Oh, I got the nod. Way to go. January 2nd, when county supervisors, superior court judges, and county offices take their assume office. And on January 3rd, congressional members take office. The thing that's a little weird though is some people will take office before we're done with the certification of the election. And I'm often asked, well, can you just certify this contest? And the answer is unfortunately no, I can't. All of our ballots are countywide, you know, with different things on it, and it's very, very hard for me to say, okay, well, we're only going to focus on this because, you know, every contest is also just as important. But we work hard to get as good of a picture as we can throughout that as we get closer to the certification date. But I've not seen it here, but I've heard about it in other counties where somebody has taken office, and when this was the results finally ended up being certified, somebody else assumed their office. And that 28-day period is called the canvass, and like fine wine, it does take time. That's the official tally for any given election. It's when we account for everything. We look at every ballot that was cast. We do manual tallies. We do a voter participation history audit. We audit all of our voting locations. That's when we adjudicate all of our same-day registration and determine their eligibility. We look at all those provisional ballots. We determine their eligibility. We look at all the write-ins, go back through those. We escalate the counts on the manual tally if we need to. Like I said, even up to recounting an entire district by hand, just to make sure everything is okay. Last week, when we posted our election night results, we put an estimate of how many ballots were outstanding. We've done subsequent updates, and we continue to do another estimated number of what we still have. I'm hoping that we will have almost everything done by Friday, as far as the outstanding vote by mail ballots, and then we'll be able to shift our gears into the actual auditing portion of the canvas, where we will be re-reviewing all of the write-ins and starting our manual tallies. So what's up there now are some contact information. My information is up there. Right now, I'm building my candidate filing team. Lily's the only one that I have voluntold for the position. So her contact information is there. Got Erwin's information up there. You can contact us if you have questions, if you want to give us any feedback, if you find any other errors on the PowerPoint, just let me know. And I can take questions now.
As previously stated, if you're on Zoom with us, just go ahead and unmute your microphone and ask us your questions now. And if, for whatever reason, if after this Zoom call, you still have questions, our contact information is there. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have after the meeting also.
Thank you for all this information.
You're very welcome. I do want to do one more plug, and I want to let you know that this is not the only workshop that is going to be conducted. As Tricia mentioned, there's going to be additional workshops, and they're primarily next week, correct? For
There's one-
Capitola.
I have one tomorrow night at the county building. And then that one's only in person. And then the next week is Capitola, Santa Cruz, and Scotts Valley. And then the following week, I'll do one more on that Monday online.
Perfect. So those are other opportunities for you to learn about the process. If you missed this meeting, again, I will post the video online by the end of the week on our City of Watsonville elections for page for November 8th. My contact info is there. When you're ready to run, call my office. We'll schedule you something. It takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how new you are to the process. And we go over everything that Tricia talked about, and including the handbook that she'll be supplying us with shortly. So again, any questions? Right now is the best time. Otherwise, you have our contact info, and we want to thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.